heaven?
No. It's Iowa.
Hey guys, I just wanted to say I really like doing this podcast with both of you. It's been a lot of fun. We're at the end of the year. It's been a great year. But there's just one thing that's really starting to get on my nerves working with you guys. And it's your goddamn farts. Smell like jism and rotten dick. You goddamn farts.
Well, that's the damnedest thing I've ever eyed with my eyes. You're a wee little wicky, little soft-sounded bitch.
Hark! We're talking the Lighthouse. The Lighthouse on the Pot of Dreams.
Tell me, what's a timberman want with being a wiki?
Just looking to earn a living, just like any man. Starting new.
On the run. Keeping secrets, are you?
No, sir.
Why don't you spill your beans? Why don't you spill your beans? Why don't you spill your beans? How long have we been on this rock? 5 weeks? 2 days? Help me to recollect.
All right, everybody, thanks for joining this Pod of Dreams. If you listen, we will pod. Ben, Kevin, Eric, we're on the Lighthouse. It's spinning around, just us and our phallic shape object, just hanging out, the three of us, talking movies, trapped here. How have we been here for 5 days, a week, 2 weeks, a month, eternity? We don't know. But today we're talking Lighthouse. I picked this movie because Robert Eggers? Yes, Eggers is the director of this, and he's got a new movie coming out, Nosferatu, which looks amazing because I'm a huge fan of his as a director. Love everything he's made so far, and wanted to revisit this. It's probably one of my favorite movies from that year, which was a great year, 2019. There's so much going on in this movie, although it's literally just two actors for the whole film. What's your guys' just general thoughts? I'll kick it over to you.
Question: Why was it in black and white? Why?
I know that's a joke. You're trying to take a shot at me because
I don't get it. We've stopped making black and white movies a long time. But why do this? It's just like a bullshit artistic. Why?
I think the answer is Eggers. I think when he makes a movie, it's a period piece. He tries to make everything like during that time. Now I know this is not. I mean, do they have black and white video cameras?
The Witch was before this, and it wasn't in black and white. That's bullshit. That's a dumb excuse. The Witch was earlier. It took place earlier, and it wasn't in black and white. So dumb. Next reason.
I think it gives it a certain kind of dread and darkness that works really well. Why is it filmed in that weird aspect ratio? I think because it works with
another
the Lighthouse.
Bullshit artistic choice. I don't get it.
I love that.
Just make a movie.
I don't dislike artistic choices. I actually I'm quite fond of them. You disagree? All right.
I think it could have been in color. I don't know. I also think there could have been a lot more action. I wanted these guys to go swashbuckling on the sea, meet some people, be really good on a crew together, make some jokes, and have fun. I don't need to see them fart and wrestle.
What do you think this movie's about?
Are you okay, Ben?
Are you losing it?
I don't like. I mean, it's like farting and pissing and shit. Is that entertaining?
There's a lot of.
Is that your thing?
Goo. There's a lot of goo in this movie.
You like watching guys jerk off? I mean, is that just I don't find that entertaining.
So that was the thing. Is this movie sort of homoerotic? Is there like a big
Yes.
gay aspect to this movie? I honestly have seen it.
It's a giant phallic symbol just hanging out there.
And I read that apparently there was a cut in the movie where it was like a smash cut of the lighthouse, and it faded into like supposed to be Pattinson's dick, and the like studio wouldn't let him have that in the movie, so they cut it out
because it was too overt.
You're right. That I guess, is it then like NC-17 or something? I don't know. But yeah, so there's like the first scene where first sort of homoerotic scene where he's fixing the shingles and he looks inside and he sees Willem Dafoe sort of like humping his bed or jerking off or whatever it is he's doing, and his like eyes kind of fixate on it. It's like, oh, okay, that's pretty like overtly homoerotic. And then it does honestly just like they're dancing together. There's a lot of that in this movie. It just kind of I never picked up on those themes the first time I saw it. Well, I thought it was more just about the like desperation and isolation. Is that like a big thing known about this movie, that it's
just really obvious when you watch it, Eric? I mean, short of them like butt fucking, I don't know how more obvious it could be. This power, submission, like tension.
There's a father-son kind of part to it too. I mean, that like Oedipus or Oedipal kind of,
like he literally like wrestles him down and has him act like a dog and puts him on a chain and has him bark. I mean, yes, it's very overt.
But see, I always thought this movie was more about like toxic masculinity, like the way men interact with each other, and how there's this sort of competition and one has to try to dominate the other. I thought it was more about that than a like sort of psychosexual kind of thing.
I think the implication there, Eric, is that dominant submission in male relationships has a homoerotic undercurrent to it always.
Okay.
And this is
maybe you're right.
Exaggerated in the context of a film. But I would say that's kind of what's being highlighted part. I mean, this movie is, it's excellent. I want to someday try to do just let you reckon with yourself what it's like sometimes when you aren't into a movie, Eric, and just get stuck on the component parts. Cause like we talked a lot in THX 1138 about the masturbation machine, and it was really off-putting to you, but there's lots of masturbation to like a mermaid token statue carving.
Scrimshaw.
Yeah, it's it works in the context of this movie, but sometimes you get stuck on those. I mean, no, it's great. There's about 10,000 different directions you can take it. This is obviously a very abstract movie. Really, you could take it literally. It's two guys just slowly descending into madness. I mean, you can read it that way. You can read it a bunch of different ways if you want. Right? It's really open to interpretation, but it's just so. I want to know.
Well, I like The Shining. It reminded me a lot of The Shining.
There's a little bit of that, especially with the axe and chopping it up and chasing him. So there is a bit of that, but you like Robert Eggers, and this movie is just so abstract and so many different weird choices. In so many other movies, you don't like that and you find that off-putting. And I'm curious why this movie works so much better for you.
Because he has such a steady hand on why you're seeing what you're seeing. And I think there's always a point to it. And it's all to fill the story. It's all for the purpose of the story and the movie itself. Like the jerk-off machine in THX. It was just like a stupid thing that was in there. It really had nothing to do with the story or the plot. I didn't learn anything about the character because he had some jerk-off machine. I didn't learn anything about the world, really. It was stupid. It was out of place and off-putting. Yeah, whereas like all this stuff, even the jerking off scene in this movie, like you're learning about him and how obsessed he is and lonely he is. Like I think it's all filling the story and building the, Eggers is so good at building to like a crescendo at the end of the movie, and it all builds to that in this. I think like just to start the movie, the scene where he gets off, they get off the boat, and there's like this long shot of Pattinson just sort of staring off into nothing. And it's like, I don't know, a few seconds, maybe 10, 15 seconds of him just looking, and you don't see what he's looking at. And then Dafoe walks up. None of them have spoken yet at this point. Dafoe walks up behind him and he looks at what Pattinson's looking at, and he smiles and then walks away. And then the camera pulls over and it's the ship leaving. And it's just like, that just fills you with so much dread. They're on this, like stranded on this island, and the boat's leaving, and you didn't know what Pattinson was looking at. But it's like, you just learn so much about them for me, it's like, all right, just take me on a ride now. Like if you can do that kind of thing in just a short amount of time, super impressive to me. I think that's the difference. Is like Nolan, like he'll do things with the camera and what you see, and it's like, all right, man, I'm on board. Show it to me. And I think THX, there's nothing in that where I feel like I'm just, flailing in the bald-headed nonsense that movie is. But
that's fine. I mean, Rager is clearly a better director than George Lucas. I just disagree.
I think he is. Yeah, it's crazy to say that because George Lucas is George Lucas, but
George Lucas, I mean, directed. Well, whatever. I mean, this isn't the George Lucas podcast. I disagree. I mean, this is one. I think you give Robert Eggers. You kind of said it a little bit. You give him, I think, a lot more leeway because of how he directs.
Yeah, sure.
That masturbation machine sequence is absolutely building the world, and it is establishing who Robert Duvall's character is. It's clearly in there for a purpose, and it does establish that he's an automaton going through the motions, and society mediates all of his needs, and it's impersonal and it's cold. That's there, but you just don't give it that leeway that you give with Robert Eggers setting the tone early, and even just the ship arriving, that maddening horn, the foghorn.
Yeah.
It's ominous and annoying and ever present, and it's just it's infuriating. Yes, and it sets the atmosphere. It just is this blaring, echoing, dominating sound.
The soundtrack does a lot of the heavy lifting in this movie. It really brings out a lot of dread.
Yeah, not just the sounds that you hear, but the music. And it's I wouldn't even, is it even music? It's just like instruments, and it's incredible. I think this movie's incredible. Kevin, do you like this film?
Yeah, I like this movie. Okay. I bought it
because you don't traditionally like horror, sort of darker kind of movies.
Yeah, this one has some comedy, like the farts bits. I think that stuff is funny. So there's more to it than just like constant.
Say you like me, lobster. Say you like it. Say you like me, lobster. Like, I love that scene.
And then
I seen you like it. Tell me you like my lobster. And he goes on this
big outlandish curse, right? This insane curse, and then it's fine. Have it your way. I like it, right? Like I like your cooking. That was undercut. Robert Pattinson apparently wanted this to be a comedy. I wouldn't call it an overt comedy. It's just far too depressing and oppressive to be like an out-and-out comedy. But yet there are those moments of silliness where you're like, this is just ridiculous. What's going on?
Him kind of battling with the bird is kind of funny too. Just like the bird constantly tormenting him.
Yeah, it's kind of shocking and in a humorous way, just how aggressive he was with it. He just
smashes it to bits. Fooling with that seabird.
But there are all these like sneaky good shots in it, and like trying to think of what Robert Pattinson had to do, but he was climbing up the ladder, and it was just this underneath shot of him going up the ladder. And it was like a very quick, like 3 seconds. It was like even the framing of that was just immaculate and looked great. It was just this underneath angle as he's just going straight up. Probably another phallic symbol, really. I mean, it's probably the ladder was jutted up like that. But yeah, I mean, all the shots are incredible, and it feels claustrophobic and cinematic at the same time, which is tough to do. Because it could feel like this was just like a play or something, but it doesn't feel like that. I mean, it feels like a movie, even though there's very few. I mean, it's one location basically.
One location and 2 actors. I mean, there's the mermaid for a few seconds, but it's literally just like these 2 guys. I can't think of another movie like that. Like, do you think this is a horror movie? It's been kind of classified as that. I think there are elements like with the creature kind of slithering up above the lighthouse and the mermaid siren thing. Like when he's in the water and he's like wading out and she's like floating there and he picks her up and she kind of like screams at him. Like, that's kind of scary. Just so wouldn't call it a horror movie.
The last shot of him being disemboweled by the seagulls, that's a little disturbing.
It's a movie that doesn't really classify genre very easily because it does lots of weird things. I mean, horror if I had to, but yeah, it doesn't really fit nicely into that box.
I
He's
thought
just
it was
kind
more
of
of a thriller, psychological thriller.
thriller. Sure.
Yeah.
Just kind of
It's
ominous.
definitely not like a dark comedy, you know.
No, not quite comedic enough. It's like, yeah, the way it's played. Like there's the scene where he's emptying the fucking chamber pots, right? Because they have to just piss and shit into pots and then dump them into the water. And he goes
After
out.
they're so hungover, like they've been drinking all night, and he passed out on the floor. I don't know why you go. Why does he have to walk all the way to the edge of the cliff?
I kept saying, just dump it to the side. Yeah, why are you walking all the way? I kept saying that.
It's pouring rain. Like, just throw it on it. Yeah.
Just go to the side. Who cares if it ends up on the rocks? Who cares?
Yeah.
You don't care. Just do it.
And just throw it in the grass. Like, it's, whatever. Like,
well, I'd at least aim for the water, but it doesn't matter. He walks by a bunch of water and doesn't dump it in. But he gets to the end, he flings it right into the wind. It comes back on him, and he just yells. Just wow.
So
like that could have been played for comedy more, but it's still I feel bad. I was worried about him, so I couldn't laugh. It's like the tone wasn't quite right. But
so the plot is very simple. It's these two guys that are they relieving other people that were there, or is
we see people leave.
Right. So we do see people leave. They get on the boat. We find out that Defoe is he's the wiki. He's the master of the light. And Pattinson is like a new to the crew. And so Defoe wasn't already there, right? He came on the boat. They both arrived on the boat. That's right. And so he's new and he's kind of bossing him around.
But did Defoe have a previous guy, the one-eyed guy?
He's been to the island before, but we see them both coming onto the boat. They both come from the big boat at the beginning.
Probably go like a couple weeks on, couple weeks off kind of deal, right?
It's
4 weeks on, 4 weeks off.
They get like a month and then they
okay,
try to limit them so they don't go too crazy, presumably, right? So these guys.
Well, and the rations and all that's like he'd run out of,
yeah.
And so like Defoe never lets Pattinson see the light or operate the light, even though Pattinson's like, I'm supposed to, right? In the handbook, aren't I supposed to? And then what is Defoe's response that like they're supposed to switch off time, and his time is at night when he operates the lighthouse. So, and then during the day, Pattinson's just doing all the shit work.
Yeah, and for some reason, Defoe takes off all his clothes when he's at the light.
Well, we're seeing that, and we see him sit there and like, hello, beauty. Like the first time we see him up there, we don't really see the light, but he's just says, hello, beauty. And he just like...
I read somewhere that it was kind of based off of like Prometheus, right? That he steals the light.
Shit in here.
Yeah. And then at the end, when he sort of stands over him naked and the light kind of shines down on him. And I think that's kind of the idea, is it's sort of based. And then I guess there was like a Edgar Allan Poe short story about a lighthouse too. It's kind of all sort of based off of that.
There's some Greek story about somebody getting their liver pecked out and then it regrows overnight and then it happens for eternity. I don't know the name of that mythology, but there's all sorts of stuff. You do Sisyphus with him carrying the big oil drum all the way to the top, and then he has to bring it back down. It's all for nothing.
Yeah.
Like Poseidon and Neptune and mermaids. So there's
right, because we learned later that Pattinson was a lumberman. What did he call him? A woodsman? He a logger, basically.
Yeah.
And that's what he previously did, and then killed a guy, maybe, I think, right?
Let him drown?
Let him drown.
Saved him. Okay. Didn't kill him, but didn't try to save him. Could have.
Yeah. And so then he kind of leaves. Defoe finds out when he spilled his beans. Why'd you spill your beans? When he tells him what happened, and then so that's why he's become a wiki to work in the lighthouse. But you're right, that could be considered like purgatory, right? So he committed a crime against man, killed another person, or let him die, and now he's being punished to lift this drum up the lighthouse for eternity.
Yeah, he's stuck there. And his tormentor, Willem Dafoe could be a demon tormenting him. Sure, if you want.
Or
this is
Aquaman, or the Lord of the Sea.
Yeah,
which is funny because isn't Defoe in Aquaman, right?
He is.
Yeah, he is.
What range?
The greatest movie ever made, Aquaman.
Yeah, why did you pick that? When did that come out? Is that 2019? When did that come out?
Might have been around there.
Okay.
Yeah, and so then they slowly start to get really drunk every night and lose their minds and do crazy.
Yeah, weird dynamic, right? Willem Dafoe is in charge and he's just a dick all the time.
Yeah, for 4 weeks, Pattinson has to deal with it, and then if he doesn't get picked up, the menders don't come,
right,
to relieve them because of the storm.
Or did they miss it because
they got too drunk?
Yeah. Well, we don't know. It's possible.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, he keeps it together basically. Robert Pattinson doesn't drink until the very last night before he's supposed to leave. He deals with Willem Dafoe being a dick and having weird rules, and he's like, whatever. I got a month of this.
It's farts. It's goddamn farts.
You're right. And then they either the ship doesn't come or they sleep past it. I mean, it seems weird that like if they overslept that they just leave him there. That seems like a fucking crazy thing. You came there to pick
if the weather
up.
is bad, if they pull in there and they're waiting and they don't come out and the storm comes in.
Yeah, maybe. But then things start to get crazy. Robert Pattinson starts to drink every night, and then they have these weird nights where they're like fighting and laughing and wrestling and embracing and dancing, sharing secrets.
And they run out of rations, and all they have is liquor at some point.
Right. What is the liquor? It's black and white, so you can't tell, but it looks clear, right? Is it just straight vodka or?
Yeah, vodka, rum.
Yeah, it could be
something
rum.
like that.
It's probably a mix.
Moonshine.
I assumed it was rum, but I don't know.
Yeah, rum sounds right. And then
that's
when they run out of rum, and then they start drinking like turpentine, it looked like.
I think so. Yeah, cleaning something.
Gasoline.
Yeah.
Like the stuff.
Moonshine.
They call it like monkey juice or something. They call it something insane, and they just start eating.
Yeah. Well, it's like in The Master, right? Doesn't
exactly what I was thinking
Joaquin
of.
Phoenix make some weird cocktail of
he uses crazy
kerosene or something.
Yeah, he probably uses turpentine. He does a bunch of different cocktails. He's a lunatic, and that's when things get crazy because things would happen, and then Willem Dafoe would blame Robert Pattinson, who I guess they're both named Tom. I mean, that's the confusing part. Is Ephraim is the name Robert Pattinson goes with the beginning, but his secret is that he took Ephraim's identity. His real name is Thomas.
Ephraim was the logger that died, right?
Right, his supervisor who was a dick to him. But then things get crazy because then Willem Dafoe will blame Robert Pattinson for stuff and gaslight him and tell him he doesn't know, but then nobody knows because it's very disorienting and we lose track of what's happening. And it's kind of just the slow descent into insanity. And then characters seem to clearly be hallucinating, seeing a mermaid. We get a nice shot of a mermaid's vagina in this one. That's the first time I've probably ever seen that in my life. So that was the first.
Well, I also read in Wikipedia, so Anya Taylor-Joy has been in all of Robert Eggers' movies. She was in The Witch also, and she wanted to be in this movie. And she's like, I'll just be the mermaid. And he was like, I don't think that's a good idea.
You're too young.
Yeah.
Oh, that's too bad. She would have made a good mermaid.
She would have made a good mermaid, but she was probably like 17 or 18.
You're saying the woman who's the mermaid in this movie didn't do a good job? Is that what you guys are saying?
No, I think she's great. Really did a great job. Solid mermaid.
But then, the wheels just fall off. We see tentacles. I mean, our president's always curious about what Willem Dafoe's doing up at the light because he's very bizarrely territorial about it. At one point, he sees like tentacles and he sees just goop oozing down. He's constantly naked up there. It's it's wild. That's where things go off the rocker. It's very gnarly.
Yeah, and you don't know if it's because of all the drink that they're having or what. Yeah. Whatever's causing them to hallucinate.
The lack of REM sleep because they go to bed shit-faced every night, right? So their sleep is just
and they were on opposite schedules, right? Like, for at least to start, that Defoe's up at night and Pattinson's working during the day. So like they weren't really interacting a whole lot in the beginning of the movie because they had different schedules. And Defoe would just tell him what to do, and you're not minding your chores. And he's like, I'm doing all this stuff. I've painting the damn fucking lighthouse and falling, and all that stuff. So, yeah, it's just a great movie. It's just really well done. It's so simple, but perfectly executed. And I guess I see what you're saying is like, why do I give this leeway to be artistic and odd and have, off-putting stuff in it where I don't for other movies? I guess I can't really explain it. I don't know.
I think there's very few movies with this amount of pissing, shitting, jerking off. You would tolerate it and not find it insufferable and annoying. That's interesting. It's great. I don't actually dislike this movie at all. It's super well made.
There was a movie Babylon that came out a couple of years ago, and I hate it. I don't like that movie at all.
Is that the Margot Robbie one?
Yeah, like it starts within 10 minutes of the movie. There's an elephant that's literally like shitting on the camera, and it's supposed to be like, haha, audience, I'm shitting on you as the director, and just it's frustrating and infuriating to me. Where I feel like they're like torturing us as for watching their movie. Like that frustrates me. I don't feel like that's what's happening in this movie. I feel like it's like you're supposed to feel the grossness and uncomfortableness that like Pattinson's feeling.
Well, we're going mad with them a bit. Like at some point I was like, I don't really know what the fuck's happening anymore. I have no locus, really. This is really bizarre.
Or Compass.
I don't think it's going to end well. Like I didn't think it was going to be a happy ending, but I wasn't sure how it was going to end. It's like it's not going to be good, but how's it going to end? But that's also not a pleasant feeling to be confused and disoriented with people going mad. You could easily then say that that's not entertaining to be with people and go mad and go crazy. You could make that argument. But in other movies, you probably would.
The Shining, right? Like I said, very similar. You're watching him go mad. You're watching Jack Torrance lose his mind and go completely crazy because he's isolated and he hasn't had a drink. It's kind of the opposite, where he's a drunk and he's not drinking.
And maybe the place is haunted, or maybe he's just going crazy. Right? You just can't quite tell.
Maybe the lighthouse is. There's some sort of spirit there.
Sure, maybe the two characters are cursed because he kills the seagull. Yeah, maybe
the spirit of the seas torturing them. Yeah.
So if sailors that die come back as seagulls, do they just live their life as seagulls? Do they keep coming back as a seagull, or do they just get an extra life as a seagull and then that's it? Like, what happens when they die as seagulls?
Great question. Wonderful question.
Do seagulls die? I guess is my question.
Do they live forever? I think
he killed the one that was ostensibly right. Like that one's dead, or are you an immune?
Well,
seagull?
There was one dead inside the cistern too.
Yeah, it was still squawking.
Yeah, I think he could have saved it. I don't know if that's what he was.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's what the one wanted him to do. I don't know if that's why he was squawking at him. That's all. I know that's not the point, but I was honestly wondering that. Like, okay, you're not supposed to kill. What happens? Like, okay, you get cursed, but then is the dead sailor seagull gone forever at that point? They just get to become a seagull again.
Who could know?
So the best case scenario is you just get a few extra years as a seagull, and then it's over. And are there any seagulls that are non-dead sailors, or literally every single seagull is a dead sailor? Like, do they need dead sailors to keep repopulating, or can they?
Again, maybe that's where the sailors come back, is because there's not enough. There's too many seagulls, not enough dead sailors. So then you just pop back out.
Sure, like he got hatched somewhere else in a nest. Okay, I was just worried about the guy. I mean, it's stuff we don't know if Willem Dafoe killed his previous guy. He said the previous guy went mad, which could be the case, or he could have killed him. It's you just don't know.
But you do see a very vivid shot of his head in the lobster cage.
But you don't know, is that Robert Pattinson imagining it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You don't know, right?
Yeah.
Like, sure. Willem Dafoe's like, doesn't say it's true. He just like, I know your secret. You spilled the beans. And now I got leverage on you, laddie.
Your beans. Where is this supposed to be? Somewhere in like New England? Because I was wondering, why have Pattinson do an American accent?
Yeah, somewhere in the Atlantic.
Okay.
That's as
near Boston somewhere. I mean, he tries. I think he sort of tries to have a Boston accent.
I think he probably does. I bet it's accurate for the time. He probably wasn't like, "This is a wicked, crazy lighthouse. How do you like them apples?" Like that probably hadn't developed yet,
Yeah. Teddy ball game.
his accent in the Witch, the accents were so great for like the time. Everybody's like, this is exactly how those folks talked. That's exactly the right cadence and rhythm. So I bet it's probably really, really accurate. Yeah, if you forget that Robert Pattinson's British, like, oh yeah, his accent was great. Embodies the character. No, I mean, it's two terrific performances. It looked like it would be very difficult to shoot if you were Willem Dafoe or Robert Pattinson.
Yeah.
Looked very difficult.
Well, Dafoe had to actually go on all fours like a dog and then get buried.
Yeah, did they throw actual dirt on him, or was it some like
it's in his mouth
concoction? Yeah. Right.
I don't know.
I was wondering, so like, what are they flinging? Is it actual dirt? He's like chewing and swallowing it. Is it like some like Oreo cookie crumbs?
I doubt it.
I doubt it.
From
either,
what I've read
also...
about Robert Eggers, it would have to be like real dirt. Like otherwise, he wouldn't do it. You know, like he's big about like the outfits. Like when he made the Northmen, like they had to dress in like stuff that only they would wear then, and like the Witch too. That had to be like he went to like museums to find the exact type of clothing that they wore then. He's like that kind of neurotic Kubrick kind of director.
I just think, man, that's intense. Like if you're chucking a lot of dirt, it was like it's a close up of his face, and they're throwing a lot of dirt on his fucking face. Like it is all over, and he has to read lines
in his eyes.
He's got to act and say lines. He's not even just laying there and taking it. He's got to be actively verbalizing.
Talk about acting. The Hark like monologue. Like how you could memorize that many lines and act that. It's all one shot. It's like a full page of dialogue that he has to like deliver. I think the fact that Dafoe didn't get nominated for like best supporting actor, I think is crazy. He's so good in this movie.
And it could have been a lead. They're both co-leads. Neither one is really a supporting role. They're both in the movie so fucking much. Like there's hardly a distinction. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
Robert Pattinson has more scenes where he's like silently doing work and being like, this is bullshit, but I don't know. They're in the movie.
Well, he's the bigger star. I guess I could see that's why they would just call him the.
Well, sure. They probably wouldn't want to nominate them both for the same level, so they'd split them. But I don't know. It's tough.
But I'm left watching this movie just like, holy shit, Willem Dafoe is like an incredible actor. I think Pattinson's very good too, but
Willem Dafoe, he's been Green Goblin. He's been Jesus Christ. He's been whoever Aquaman's like. Well, he
has such a weird like affect about him. He's just such an odd. He looks weird.
He's a gay cop in Boondock Saints.
There's something off about him.
He's just a dude from Wisconsin. That's the crazy thing.
Yeah, I know. He's from Wisconsin. You never would guess that's where he's from. Is he from like South Africa? Okay, sure, that makes sense. No, he's from fucking Wisconsin. He's from like Madison, right? Isn't he?
Yeah, something like that.
Just yeah,
unreal. Just a Midwestern kid.
No, he's great. Dude's done all kinds of bonker stuff. Yeah, I was thinking about the filming of this, and like, did they? I guess they went to some lighthouse somewhere to film this. I mean, right? I don't think it's a set.
Yes. Yeah, it's. I read that
it's in Nova Scotia. I know that much, but it seems like they made a lighthouse just for this movie.
They constructed a 70-foot lighthouse set in Nova Scotia.
So they found
most of the interiors were filmed on the set, constructed inside a hangar.
Sure, that makes sense. You need a lot of room to film, and you couldn't do it in a teeny tiny lighthouse.
Yeah, interesting.
But I mean, yeah, I don't. Every time I think, like, what's my interpretation? Like, I have contradictory thoughts because I think of this shot or this sequence, right? Like, if I imagine Willem Dafoe as like some sort of evil being on the island, or just like supernatural, well, he arrives with Robert Pattinson. I think you want to see the lighthouse, but in the very last shot, you don't see the lighthouse in it at all. You just see Robert Pattinson just on rock, getting his guts gnawed. Which is
the scene where the light turns to him and he's like, ah, and the sound, like the sounds like popping the speakers, and it's like, ah, like that is just amazing, I think. And then
the distorted laughter at the end. And he's staring at the light. Yeah.
Yeah. And then he just falls down the stairs.
Because that's where I get abstract. Like, is he finally coming? Like, we see him jerking up, but I don't know if we ever see him finish. Is the top of the phallus? Is he seeing? Did he reach the promised land and then just collapse in exhaustion afterwards, fall back? I mean that fall is almost comical. Like he just fell so far and fast down that little spiral. It was like, this is so goofy.
Was that like a stunt guy that did that?
Yeah,
like,
someone had to do that.
They didn't just roll a dummy down the stairs. Like, how could you do that safely? It's crazy.
Well, stunt people are nuts. They are absolute lunatics. They like learn how to fall correctly. It's
hit him with a car, throw him off a bridge. Just get creative.
Sure.
Once upon a time in Hollywood.
Sure. I was hoping it'd be a reference to Singing in the Rain, but I guess no.
No. Yeah. That was really all I want to say. The only other thing is, like, are you excited for Nosferatu? Is that something that you would want to go see?
I saw the trailer for it in front of Craven the Hunter, which I saw this weekend.
Why did you see Craven the Hunter?
Oh, my son wanted to see it, so I took him.
Fair enough. Okay, fair enough.
30-second review of Craven the Hunter, please, because I am waiting on bated breath.
They didn't put much effort into it. It was mainly just Aaron Taylor Johnson shirtless.
Wasn't it supposed to come out like a year ago?
Yes, it was.
Somebody just keeps doing this. I'm always like astounded. Like they're still doing this nonsense.
I think they're going to stop. This one.
They said this is the last Spider-Verse movie that is like none of them had Spider-Man in it, which is also kind of crazy to think about. Like Morbius, the 3 Venom movies, Madam Web.
Madam Web was entertaining. That was a fun movie to watch. Not in the right ways, but
Oh, it's so bad that it was entertaining. Sure.
Yeah, but Craven the Hunter didn't put enough effort into it for it to even be entertaining. But anyway, the Nosferatu was terrifying. The trailer for it.
Yeah, it's supposed to be pretty scary.
On a date? It sounded like you were asking us out on a date.
Maybe, I don't know. Bring your mermaid doll.
I would want to see Nosferatu. Should we go? Yeah, it looks great. I don't know. I've seen 2 out of the current 3 Robert Eggers movies, and they're both great. I'm sure I will see Northman at some point, and I'm sure I'll enjoy it immensely. Nosferatu looks great. You haven't had a good vampire movie in a while.
Northman was more straightforward. It was kind of just a revenge movie, right? As I recall.
Yep.
Sure, that's fine. I can. I don't need all of his movies to just be weird and kind of haunting, kind of horror, kind of drama, kind of whatever. Psycho. I don't just need those.
There is a scene with Willem Dafoe in The Northman, which gets kind of weird, but that's about it.
Weirder than what happens in The Lighthouse?
There's barking. There's barking in it in The Northman.
Well, there's okay. That sounds like
it's not as weird. It's not as weird as Lighthouse, but
it's like I don't know that you can get much weirder. What's this like?
So for me, I would say this is a 4.5-star movie. I can't, probably for the reasons that you mentioned, Ben, like that it's sort of weird and artistic and there's a lot of choices, is probably why I wouldn't give it 5 stars, because it's not pure entertainment for me.
Okay.
But I love this movie. I really do like this movie a lot.
I like this movie a lot. It's a 4-star movie for me. There's just 2 guys that are losing it, and that's about as well as you can do, I think.
I mean, I agree with that assessment. I didn't think about it that way, but I think you're right. Like, you're gonna do a movie with 2 guys going insane together, trapped in a lighthouse. This is as good as it gets. Yeah, I mean, 4.5 for me. I can't quite give it. It's just not. Just doesn't hit that perfect. I don't know that I'd be excited to watch it again anytime soon.
I think when I was watching it, like midway through, I'm like, this is a 5-star movie. And then I think there was probably more piss and farts and jism. And I'm like, all right, let's go with 4.5.
There were occasionally moments where I'm like, okay, I do get this. Like, let's get there. And not often, but I do that a couple times. Just like, all right,
Let's get there. Yeah.
Like, I don't need more Descents to Madness. I get it. They're not getting off the lighthouse. Nobody's coming. Like, this is gonna end with probably both of them dead. Like, let's reach there. Let's get there. But it's terrific. I mean, the direction is fantastic. No, I mean, I love The Witch. It's also just an incredible movie. So no, he's terrific. Nosferatu looks great. If I have a chance over winter break to see it, I will.
Yeah, it comes out on Christmas Day, which is a bold move to put a horror vampire movie out on Christmas Day. I think that's kind of baller. People want something different, right? I mean, people will be in the mood for something a little different.
Well, is this like an awardsy type movie, you think?
I don't know, maybe. I don't think it got any Golden Globe nominations.
Oh.
But did it not come out because it's not out yet? But they would have had a premiere, right?
I mean, I think that it's going to depend on how weird it is. Like, The Lighthouse is one of those movies. It's like, it's too weird to get like a Best Picture win. Maybe.
Well, that's why Defoe didn't get nominated, because it's too out there. Yeah,
it's too abstract. It's just out of the standard Hollywood thing. So I think that's, if Nosferatu is like that, and it looks like it might be. I mean, it looks like there's an awful lot of psychological, sexual stuff based on the trailer. Like, I kind of want him to turn me into a vampire. Get a lot of that energy in there. So it's weird.
I think it'd have to be like a huge hit. It'd have to make like a shit ton of money.
Yeah,
which
maybe.
It probably won't.
Yeah,
because like The Northman was I think a pretty expensive movie. Because he signed, I think it was like Paramount or one of the bigger studios, and it like was, I think, a bomb. It didn't really do very well.
Yeah, it was. That's right. I remember that. It was like he was trying to go semi-mainstream. Like, he didn't have as much crazy weirdness in it.
Because they also advertised it like it was Gladiator.
Sure.
You know, and it's not Braveheart, but they kind of advertised it where it's just not that at all. I mean, it's sort of that, but it's not that sort of straightforward epic, you know, that you would think of.
Right. Like, guy who's wronged and then kills an evil colonizer or ruler, autocrat.
I mean, that's what it is. It's just not made in that traditional sort of Ridley Scott kind of way.
It takes its time and does some weird stuff on the way.
Yes.
It is.
Yeah.
Got it.
For sure.
Okay.
Which apparently I give him leeway on that, because if it had been someone else, I probably would have not liked it. But
that sounds good. I mean, I need to watch it. No, Nosferatu looks great. I mean, this guy, I've seen 2 of his movies and they're both terrific. Both weird, super well done, full of dread.
Cool.
It was awesome. All right. Well, should we cap our year? Should we put a pin in 2024?
Sure.
Somehow. So this is a little special, just a little bit at the end here. We're going to do just a quick best and worst. Each of us, we're going to take turns. For each person, we're all going to decide what our best pick was and what the worst pick was. It's not really a vote. We're just going to talk. So 3 people, 6 categories. Going to just kind of decide our best and worst selections for the year. We're going to take some time off after this too. Programming note, we're going to do Slapshot with a special guest on the other side of New Year's. So this will be our last one for 2024. But
Slapshot was some movie that you were thinking of suggesting. Why
somebody else came with it. Well, because I've never seen it. I've heard it referenced before. Yeah.
Okay, that's a big blind spot. That's great.
Yeah, sports comedies are ones we don't get any of those hardly. You know, like there was an era where that happened.
Caddyshack.
Yeah, like an 80s thing and a bit into the 90s too, but not much. And then they just kind of just go kaput. I saw like the kid versions of those, like Mighty Ducks and stuff. So sounds fun. And obviously a couple of proud Minnesotans who love hockey more than life itself here on this podcast. So we're gonna be good to talk that. But I didn't pick it. You know, this is our guest picked it. It's just happenstance. So look forward to talking that. But whose selection do you want to go first? Who do we want to pick on first?
Yeah, so we're going to do, just for table setting, we're going to do a best and worst for the year of the 3 of us and we're gonna all vote on each other's best and worst pick. So
That's
Ben,
right.
why don't we start with you?
Sure.
Should we start? Should we all say what we think your best movie of the year was?
Sure. Go for it.
And do you want to start?
I'll start. Sure. Well, of all the movies, my favorite, the one I love the most, the one that resonates with me on the deepest level is Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. I rewatched it after we did the pod, and I've been watching clips, and I love the movie. It percolates in sports, in social media around this time, and just even the little snippets just make me happy. I love the movie. And it's also everything I love about this podcast, Eric, because I don't know if you remember, but I keep thinking about it. It's very clear that John Candy's character in Planes, Trains, and Automobiles is actually homeless. Like, he doesn't have a home. He literally says a line, and when we talked about this, I didn't recall this, but he literally says a line. He says, "I don't have a home," but you were insistent that he does in fact have a home. Anyway,
he just means his wife's dead. He doesn't have like a place that's. I'm sure he has some shitty apartment somewhere. Whatever. We don't need to rehash the argument. Also, I think the theory that his dead wife is in the trunk, I think it still holds true.
Sure. Anyway, that's my favorite of all my.
Maybe he is homeless. He killed his wife, burned the house down, and kept her body.
He's on the run.
Trunk.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, you had a lot of left field picks, Ben, but Planes, Trains, and Automobiles was an easy top for me.
Okay, we agree.
Yeah.
Now, what about you, Mr. Langton?
A classic top 5 movie.
I think the Bond movie From Russia with Love maybe is my favorite that you picked.
Okay.
Because of how horny it was.
Yes. Very horny. Yeah, I'm going through the list. That's probably a Mission Impossible 2, maybe.
Oh my god.
It might be my favorite
action movies. That's on brand for you, Eric. Very on brand.
I mean, to be
right.
honest, there's some newsies in there, Ben, but just for my personal taste. But
I get it. You don't. If it's not Robert Eggers, you don't like weird stuff. He gets the weird hall pass from you. Everybody else,
I guess so.
Keep it.
Or Marty Scorsese too. I think gets a hall pass for you too.
I don't know how weird he gets though. I mean, we did do.
I don't know. Last Temptation was kind of weird.
Yeah, sure. Well, I'm glad we agree on Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, Kevin. I mean, I just keep thinking about it.
Sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
No, it's fine. No,
I was you didn't want to give your worst. So
I was just about to set that up. It's Brothers.
Yeah.
It was awful. I hate Brothers. It's not making choices. It's not doing anything. It's not entertaining. It's not artsy. It's not creative. It's not clever. It's not anything. It's just useless content filling Amazon's coffers. I hated it. And even thinking about it now, I was probably too generous with the 1.5 stars I gave. It's a movie that not only is bad, it just annoys me that it exists. And it shouldn't be that bad with that many talented people, but it is. Anyway, that's my worst pick.
Brothers has recency bias for me, but I gotta go back to MI2. That one. I actively hate that movie. Brothers, I totally forgot we had watched it last week.
Yeah.
See, I love this.
But MI2 I'll remember forever.
It might be Eric's favorite. One of Eric's favorites, and you think it's the worst movie.
I love that movie. Yeah.
See, this is magic. I love it.
This is very easy for me. The worst movie you picked this year was Mystery Men, and it's not even close. I hated everything about that. Ben Stiller's face, I hated it. The shovel guy.
Shoveler.
Not even Willem Dafoe could have saved this movie. Although it's kind of weird he's not in it. It seems like it should be a Willem Dafoe movie. But yeah, I hated that movie so much. So bad.
Okay. See? There we go. Most rage. All right, who's next? You, Eric?
Yeah, we can do me. So I'll give what I think is my favorite of the year. It's kind of down to 2 choices for me. And it's tough because there is, recency bias. But I'd probably say The Conversation is probably my favorite. The best movie that I picked this year. But I mean, honestly, Lighthouse is close, but probably The Conversation.
Okay. Kevin, what do you think his best was?
I'd say Exorcist. That was going back to the first movie we did together.
Oh, okay.
That's true. Yeah.
That to me is all-time great movie.
It is.
And I really enjoyed watching it for the pod.
Yeah. I love Exorcist, but number one, I was shocked Eric picked it, Singing in the Rain. It was just incredible. It's like he did a bold choice. He got out of his comfort zone. And it's just
really trying to spread my wings.
It's like just fantastic. It's like what a classic Hollywood classic musical.
Mm-hmm.
Brilliant, fantastic cinematography, just immaculate. So that was love Exorcist, love Conversation, but Singing in the Rain, just early 50s, blew me away. Fantastic pick. Well done, Eric.
Okay,
that was a good one.
I'm not gonna pick that as my least favorite movie. Actually, the reason I'm going to pick this one because I recently watched Alien Romulus.
Oh, no.
So I'm going to pick Alien 3 as my least favorite movie that I picked. Just because Alien Romulus is just, it's not great, but it's such a better Alien movie. And Alien 3 is terrible.
It does.
Awful movie.
Yeah, undoes everything good about Aliens.
Yeah.
Just shits on it, everything. Yeah, for me, it's Last Temptation of Christ. Alien 3 was close, but Last Temptation of Christ, I actively dislike that movie. The blonde hair, blue-eyed Jesus, too much for me.
See, this is fascinating. I don't think I would have ever guessed that would be your pick, but that's fascinating. Okay.
Yeah, well, I mean, Blue Thunder is up there too.
Sure.
But no, Last Temptation.
How dare you say something bad about my precious Blue Thunder?
Well, Blue Thunder had fun parts. Like it at least got there kind of in the end after a lot of boringness. I like it. I mean, Alien 3 got consideration by me. It's a movie that's just was gutted clearly by a studio, and it isn't anything. It just refuses to go any direction. It's really annoying. But I think the actual worst movie is Draft Day. This is the big stupid NFL commercial that has just
I picked so many bad movies this year. What is happening? I gotta lock it up, guys. I gotta get it together here.
I prefer swings. I prefer big swings, even if you're gonna whiff.
Hey, I'm glad I watched Draft Day. I was curious about it. So
yeah, look, it sucks. It's a shitty movie. I hate almost everything about it, and I'm annoyed that it exists. But like, I would much rather you I'm gonna try to crush our home run. Like we could watch 3-star, 3.5-star action movies every week if we wanted to, and be like, these are good, but not like. This is fine. We took a chance, and I didn't expect the pick. Glad you picked it, but it sucked. It was of all of them. It's like this is just really dumb and not in an entertaining way. It's just really stupid. And then guess what? Kevin Costner is anxious about having a baby with Jennifer Garner. Oh, okay, thanks.
Who he is I guess the boss for. So that was kind of off-putting.
And she's 20 years younger than him.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. There's just nothing about it I like. It's just every performance is boring and not good, and the drama is fake and it just doesn't correspond to reality, and it's bad.
Yeah, it made no sense.
So that was my least favorite. But I mean, we're all I get it. Aliens 3 was just like, oh yeah. I don't know what the studio wanted, and they didn't know what they wanted either. It's bad. But yeah, Draft Day was my least favorite.
Okay. All right, now moving over to Kevin.
All right. I'm going to go with my worst pick.
Oh.
That was easily Roadhouse for me. Movie was garbage. It was like Brothers, but more garbage, I thought.
It's comparable. It was maybe mildly better, but I
mean, they put more money into it, and they soaked in. I mean, didn't Doug Liman direct it? Something like that. And they had real movie stars in it. It was crazy bad.
Yeah, I know what Eric's going to pick. I'm pretty sure, but I'm with you. Roadhouse was what I picked. It's like, it's not. You picked a lot of like you looked up at like Roger Ebert's great movie list or wherever you pulled them from, and you picked a lot of like classics. Some of them work better than others, but they were all like movies that were trying stuff. And then here comes just Amazon with their "we need content." Here's a just knockoff of Roadhouse, and it's boring and lifeless.
Kind of like Brothers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It was like this is clearly the worst
streaming
one.
filler.
Yeah, just ugh. Time passed. I barely remember it. It's just annoying. But what did you pick, Eric? You picked the movie, I think.
Well, see, and I hate to say this because I know Kevin really likes this movie, but I think Speed Racer was my least favorite of the movies he picked.
Oh,
looking back on it.
Okay.
I'm surprised it wasn't Walkabout, but
I thought, it was Walkabout or Speed Racer. I didn't know which one it would be for you.
Speed Racer.
I've tried to remove Walkabout from my memory, but those would be close. Those would be the two.
Speed Racer, I take that personally.
It's fine. There's this like kind of goofy energy that he can't tolerate. Like hated Mystery Men, hated Speed Racer. It just doesn't work for him. Yeah. I guess we picked a lot of garbage movies too, Eric. Huh?
I'm looking at Kevin's list. Some bangers, like amazing movies.
Well, he picked the consistently best movies. Yeah,
by far Kevin's list by far overall had the best movies. I mean, I can't to decide what is the best of like Gladiator and Die Hard and Fury Road and Twister. Like, how can I pick which one's the best out of those movies? They're just all great.
For me, and this is a shocker, but it's Twister. That was my favorite movie that I picked.
Yes. Let's go.
I hadn't seen it before. It was my first time. All the other movies I'd seen before, but this is the first time watching Twister, and that really blew my mind.
You look really great in that clown makeup, Kevin, I gotta say. You look just fantastic.
I'm going to high five you through Zoom because Twister is also my favorite that you picked.
Yeah.
Let's go.
No, this is just garbage. I went with Mad Max Fury Road, which is 150 billion times better than Twister in every regard, in every single way. More entertaining, more funny, more likable, better acted, better action, better script, just better everything. Yes, lots of great movies, but the one that I love the most is Mad Max Fury Road. That one is, it's a perfect action movie. Die Hard would be up there as well. Twister got no consideration. Sorry.
0 votes.
I left it off the ballot. So there we go. That's a year in summary.
That's our year-end summary for the Pot of Dreams.
Yeah,
thanks
lot of
for
good
listening.
movies.
Happy New Year.
Thanks for listening. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year's. We will see everybody.
Happy Hanukkah.
Sure, Happy Hanukkah.
See you in 2025 with Slapshot.
Yes, 2025. Hockey comedy. Oh, yeah. Let's listen, everybody.